Response to Skeptic about miracles in the Bible. Quote, Skeptic. As I've indicated, I am not qualified to argue about evolution. However, I'd be happy to weigh in if you want to discuss the talking donkey in the book of Numbers. Or the evidence that scores of people escaped their graves as in the book of Matthew. I would start with the universally agreed upon facts that donkeys don't talk and people who are long dead don't escape their graves. People who are long dead stay dead, right? You're very critical of evolution. I wonder if you focus that high-powered skepticism at the claims in the Bible, witches, giants, magical trees, etc. I'd be happy to discuss any of those topics because they don't require extensive education to understand. Are there things you believe in that aren't supported by solid evidence? My response, background. Please first watch the following 2 videos on our channel, A. Why I am certain God exists, and B. Why I am a Christian. These videos will give you an understanding of where I am coming from as I respond to your questions. I have a strong background in science and philosophy, so I view the world, all of reality, with the eyes of a scientist and philosopher. It is that background and mode of thinking that led me out of my past atheism to deism, then philosophical theism, and then to the core of Christianity. I have described the core of the reasoning for these steps in various videos. My response, answer. In response to your questions. 1. I know beyond a reasonable doubt that God exists, as mind that created all of physical reality. 2. Given the existence of God, miracles are logically possible. So, all of the items you listed above, as miracles, are logically possible. 3. I am not a biblical literalist. So I am comfortable with the Bible using mixtures of idiom, metaphor and literal history. 4. Based on my experience with the Christian God, I am convinced that the core of Christianity is true. I have no dogmatic views on the secondary or peripheral teachings. 5. Given the above, my default view on the Bible is that it is without error in what God intends to communicate to us through the Bible. However, since humans are fallible, there is no human whose understanding of what God intends to teach is completely without error. So, while the Bible is without error, in the sense above, our understanding is not. 6. I see the Bible as innocent until proven guilty, i.e., true until proven false on any given detail. And I have never seen anyone who has proved any detail of the Bible to be false. 7. There are 2 possible caveats to my statement above. A. The claim that the Bible teaches a young earth and a young universe. And B. The claim that the Bible teaches a global flood. Both of those claims are false. The Hebrew of the Old Testament does not necessitate either a young earth or a global flood. 8. I agree that the totality of the evidence points to an old earth, 4.5 billion years old, and an old universe, 14 billion years old. And the totality of the evidence confirms a global water immersion of the earth, but not during the time of humanity. There have been significant regional floods, but not a single global flood during the presence of humanity on earth. However, this is not an issue for the Bible, given my previous point above. 9. It is obvious to any rational, intelligent, thinking person that metaphysical materialism is false, and so the core tenet required for atheism is false. 10. It is also obvious to any rational, intelligent, thinking person that there are non-material causal agents, e.g., our minds, and our free will agency, and there is evidence that our minds, or souls, are not necessarily localized to our brains. So, non-material causal agents are not necessarily localized to material structures. 11. Given item 10 above, the evidence is consistent with the existence of spirit beings, as the Bible describes, that have some limited powers to act in the world. 12. So, some of the items you mention, donkey talking, etc. can be a spirit being speaking, but appearing to be speaking through a donkey. Resurrection of the dead is logically possible given that God exists. Witches. Humans have a long history of people who have claimed to be witches, and there is reported evidence of people who commune with spirit beings, including learning of events, or languages, that they could not have physically come to know by personal experience. Giants. To a 5-foot person, a 6-foot-5-inch person would appear like a giant. Magical trees. Magic is something that happens with no sufficient cause, so the tree of life, which is what I think you are referring to, is not magical. The sufficient cause is God. Similarly, with the tree of the knowledge of good, obedience to God, and evil, disobedience to God. The act of disobeying God and eating of the tree would open Adam up to the knowledge of the reality and consequences of disobedience to God. So again, God is the sufficient cause. So, neither tree is magic, with no sufficient cause. 13. I subscribe to a literal Adam and Eve, based on genetics, but I am open to Genesis chapter 1 to 11 having more metaphorical or allegorical elements than a literal reading of those passages. 14. I view the world in terms of degrees of confidence of belief, based on evidence. So, I have Pascalian certainty that the universe exists, and that God exists, as mind that created the universe, and that the core of Christianity is true. Everything else has lower degrees of confidence. And some things have no degree of confidence based on logic, reason, and scientific evidence, e.g., naturalistic mega-evolution. 15. I accept microevolution, change inside a species or genus, but I reject naturalistic mega-evolution based on the scientific evidence, not based on any religious view. I have spent thousands of hours studying evolution, in courses, textbooks, the scientific literature, books by evolutionary biologists, and dialogues with evolutionary biologists, and primary source scientific papers and literature. That knowledge experience is what proves beyond a reasonable doubt that naturalistic mega-evolution is completely false. Thanks to a skeptic for the questions. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts.